Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the Houston Rockets play the Phoenix Suns, which will be the Rockets' 66th game of the regular season. And how about this tonight for the Rockets? With a win tonight, the Rockets have a chance to reach their total wins that they had last season. How crazy is that? The Rockets could have the same amount of wins same amount of wins they had last season through 66 games, and still another 16 games left. So the Rockets should be way past the win total they had last season, or we know they'll at least you got 15 games left. So the Rockets, they're definitely going to pass the win total they had last season. I mean, they're not going to go 1-14 to finish the season. I can't really predict where they'll finish at. I'd love to see this team get 50 wins. It's possible. I don't know. 40-25. I think a 10-7 finish would be nice throughout these last couple games, these last couple weeks of basketball. And 10-7 would get you to that level of being a 50-win team. We'll see if they can do that though. But they should be well past the win total they had last season. It doesn't not very hard to do that when tonight they'd be right at the win total they had last season if they get a win, and still another 16 games left after that. So I'm excited for this game tonight. Suns, Rockets. Rockets beat the Suns when they didn't have Jabari Smith Jr., didn't have Fred VanVleet. Jabari's going to be back tonight. He's been back. Fred might be back tonight, but here is one bad thing. Amen Thompson played in that win against the Suns, and Amen Thompson really killed it for the Rockets in that game, and he's not going to be playing tonight. Also, even Reed Sheppard made some big plays in that game. He had a big three and scored 5 points in that game, had like a clutch steal for the Rockets. He had a really nice game off the bench for the Rockets in that game. He's not playing tonight, but I think if you can get Fred and Jabari both back tonight when you didn't have either one of those guys, when the Rockets faced the Suns in Houston a couple weeks ago, right before it was right before the All-Star break. It wasn't the game before the All-Star break. It was the game before that. The game that sent the Rockets to the All-Star break was the Warriors loss, but the night before that, the Rockets played the Suns and beat them. And so right before the All-Star break, beat the Suns. And so it's great that they'll have Jabari back. I just love the idea of watching Jabari Smith Jr. against Kevin Durant. I mean, it's a fun matchup. Could get traded for each other next offseason. We'll see. But I just love the idea of watching these two guys go up against each other, because maybe Jabari hasn't showed this potential yet. I mean, at certain times he has, but reminds you, if you watch him play, it reminds you a lot of Kevin Durant. Just that's what I've seen in him, with his height and his shooting ability. But he hasn't showed that Kevin Durant potential yet. Maybe he can show the Suns and Kevin Durant tonight what they missed out on when the Rockets beat him in the middle of February. But let's get into the injury report for both of these teams, and then some. I'm going to preview the matchups. All right, so Morris, you got a bunch of game time decisions for this Suns team. Cody Martin's game time decision, Grayson Allen and Nick Richards and Morris are all game time decisions. So that meaning Suns are shorthanded just like the Rockets. The Rockets are without Reed Sheppard and Amen Thompson. Fred VanVleet is a game time decision. So Rockets starting lineup, it's kind of unknown knowing whether Fred VanVleet's going to start. If Fred VanVleet does not play in this game, it's going to be the same starting lineup the Rockets saw when they beat the Magic the other night. It's going to be Jalen Green, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., Dillon Brooks, Alperen Jr. And that's an interesting lineup because you see Jalen Green playing the point guard position with no Amen Thompson or Fred VanVleet. But if Fred VanVleet returns, that's where it gets tricky, because sure, you'll still see Jalen and Fred in that lineup, and you'll still see Sengun, and Dillon Brooks will still be in the starting lineup. But who's the fifth starter if Fred does play? Does Tari stay in the starting lineup and come off the bench? And who's starting? Is it Bari or is it Tari? I don't know. The way the Rockets' last game went, I feel like you go with Jabari because of how good he was in against the Magic. Had 20 points, shot 5 for 10 from 3. I feel like that's the best way to go with it. But both are good options. So I think it's unknown to know who's going to start in this starting lineup if Fred plays, because it's either going to be Jabari or Tari in this lineup next to Fred, Jalen, Shingun, and Brooks. So you're going to see your 4 original starters, 4 guys that have, none of them have come off the bench this season. Brooks, Jalen, Shingun, Fred, all of their games this season, they have been starters. That's not going to change. They'll be starters, but you have guys like Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason who have both started and come off the bench this season. Who knows what they will do? Now, all right, let's get to some keys to the games for the Rockets, what they need to do to win this game. Here's something they need to do that they've done really well recently. It was dominant against the Magic. The double big lineup of Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun is working, and this is a team you can really work it against in the Phoenix Suns. They're undersized. Yes, you got Nick Richards and you have Kevin Durant, but there's not a real big man. Like you got Nick Richards, but outside of that, there's not a real big man on this team. And Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun both had a very solid game last time the Rockets played this Suns team. I think that double big, that's something they didn't use when they played them. That's something they didn't use when they played when they played the Suns when they faced them in February before the All-Star break. The Rockets I've only used the double big lineup a couple times. They used it in Dallas, they used it in Indiana, and then they used it the other night against Orlando. I think they used it a couple times against New Orleans as well, but they didn't use it against the Suns. And I'd love to see this double big lineup against the Suns. I think they would dominate, because what it does is, let's say Nick Richards is on the floor for the Suns, then you're in a position where if Nick Richards is if Nick Richards is on Adams and he's having to face Adams, then a smaller player is on Alperen Sengun. Maybe it's Kevin Durant. Maybe it's Bol. Who knows? And I know that's not a smaller player, but Kevin Durant might be off. He might be off the floor, and Sengun might be on the floor, and Adams might be on the floor, and then Nick Richards is on the floor. And then you got Steven Adams, and so then Sengun. Who knows? So the point I'm trying to make is that the Rockets' double big lineup works to the point where, because Steven Adams gets on the floor and he dominates, but it also leads to Alperen Sengun having an advantage, offensively, and whoever he's going to go up against, and whoever's going to guard him, is not capable of dealing with him. And that's happened a couple times. Like, for instance, against the Pacers, they put Adams in and they had him on the floor with Sengun, and whoever was the tallest player on the floor and the best capable 5 on the floor was guarding Adams, then the 4 was on Sengun, and Sengun just kept dominating in that Indiana game and kept dominating in the paint to help the Rockets get the lead, get the Pacers lead down. And they did the same thing against Dallas. And most of these times we've seen the double big lineup, it's been Alperen Sengun dominating against the smaller player. Now, that wasn't really the case last game. It was more of Steven Adams. Steven Adams put on a show. He had 13 points and 17 rebounds. But I really enjoy watching the double big lineup for this Houston Rockets team. I think that's one of the keys to this game for this Houston Rockets team facing this Suns team. Also, I think it's Jalen Green as well. Jalen Green has had a lot of success against this Phoenix Suns team in his career, and that's a huge key to the Rockets winning this game. So Jalen Green and the double big lineup are the 2 biggest keys to the Houston Rockets getting a win against the Suns team. And also, it's really controlling Kevin Durant. And any Rockets fans going to the game tonight, please be quiet. And the reason I say this, I was at the Suns game. Against the Rockets. The win the Rockets had. And there were a lot of Rockets fans, booing Kevin Durant. That's fine to boo Kevin Durant, but it got to the point where it was a little bit excessive, and it pissed Kevin Durant off. And sometimes you piss a superstar off like Kevin Durant, and he gets hot. And what happened? Kevin Durant got hot. Now, thank God the Rockets clutched up and got the win. But that doesn't change the fact, after the crowd got into it with Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant was like, "Oh yeah, all right, I'll show you what I got for you guys." He started killing us. So I'd really, let's let let's try not to chirp at Kevin Durant tonight, because last time he started to go off on this Rockets team. But thank God the Rockets were able to pull out a win, mainly because of what they did defensively in that game against the Suns, and they played some good offense in that one as well. But I'm excited to see what the Rockets do tonight, and I hope the Rockets get their 4th straight win. This would be great to see after through the struggling times the Rockets went through, before this. So it'd be great to see this Rockets team, capitalize another win. This would be the 4th straight win and the 3rd straight win at home. And the Rockets still after this have another. This is the third game of the 7-game homestand. So still another 4 games at home after this. So yeah, I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts on the Rockets Phoenix Suns matchup tonight. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace out. Go Rockets.